Fasten your seatbelts as Dom and the family are taking us on a bumpy ride. Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel, Watched by Ashley. If you're new to the channel, this is where we take a look at some of the new releases on streaming and video on demand and discuss whether or not they're worth the watch. Today, of course, we're going to be taking a look at Fast 10, the latest installment of the $7 billion Fast and Furious franchise. So let's get into it.
Everybody stay clear. I got this.
Dominic Toretto is back, and this movie definitely follows the formula for Fast and Furious movies. So over 21 years of world building, Dominic's made some enemies. And if you remember in Fast 5, there was the drug kingpin in Brazil, Hernan Reyes, and Dom and Brian had stolen his fortune. And what we didn't know at the time is that Reyes actually had a son. His son is Dante, played by Jason Momoa. And Dante wants revenge, not only for his father's death, but the fact that Dom had robbed him and condemned him to a life of suffering. So he wants to inflict that pain on Dom and his familia. So here we have the family kind of on the run in this movie because Reyes is just such an unrelenting force that he is pursuing everybody and there's no place to hide really. We end up having our characters kind of split up into different factions and we explore a story there. So I'll leave the plot there. I don't want to get too much into it. Currently you can catch it on video on demand. This film is directed by Louis Leterrier and it was written by Dan Mazeau and Justin Lin. So one thing I want to point out here is that Justin Lin was originally supposed to be the director and he's directed a previous Fast and Furious film, but what's interesting here is that he stepped down as the director because there's a lot of creative conflicts with Vin Diesel, who is the producer of the movie. And Vin has been very adamant and vocal of the fact that he wants Fast 10 to be the biggest movie in the entire franchise. And he had the budget behind him to make that the case. So Universal granted him a budget of $340 million, which is huge. In fact, it's the 8th biggest budget for a movie. It's $10 million shy of what Disney spent for Avatar: The Way of Water. So that just goes to show you how big of a budget this film had. And a lot of that budget actually went to the cast here. So over $100 million went towards the talent. And Vin actually managed to bring a lot of the characters that you've become fond of over the last 20 years to this movie.
Everyone becomes family. It's like a cult with cars.
With this huge cast and the big budget, the movie's managed to bring in over $636 million, which is a pretty good box office run, but it's not necessarily the box office return that Universal wanted, especially if you take a look at some of the previous films. Much smaller budget, maybe $200 million, and they still managed to bring in $1 billion at the box office. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do in the future. And joining Vin Diesel in the cast, of course, is Michelle Rodriguez as Letty. We have the familiar faces of Tyrese Gibson as Roman. You have Ludacris as Tej. Nathalie Emmanuel comes back as Ramsey. The three of them are kind of doing their own thing, like they're trying to get back to the rendezvous point. But what I don't like about those three characters, that cluster of characters, is I hate the back and forth between Tej and Roman. Like, the trope of them trying to get supremacy over each other, I think, is overdrawn and overplayed and it's stale at this point. But like I said, added to the cast, aside from them, is Sung Kang as Han. So in the previous films, if you haven't seen them, Han ends up coming back. He wasn't actually dead. He faked his death, but he's here. And he ends up trying to enlist Deckard Shaw, and that doesn't go very well. It was very nice to see Jason Statham in the movie. John Cena does return to the Fast cast. He was revealed in the last movie as Dominic Toretto's younger brother, Jacob. I really love John Cena. I think he is a pretty fun actor. Like, I know he has this big stature and people don't take him seriously because he was a wrestler, but he has really good comedic timing, I think, and him playing Uncle Jacob to Dominic's son, little Brian.
So,
Uncle Jacob?
your dad sent me.
Like, I love their interaction with each other. For me, they were the comedic relief, not Roman and Tej. And so I really wanted to see more of him, and I enjoyed his time on the screen.
Your new name is Chester.
Chester?
And you're on a kayaking trip with your handsome, ripped Uncle Roger.
He was definitely a scene stealer for me. In terms of new faces to the cast, Brie Larson joins the cast as Mr. Nobody's daughter. She is a good addition. Like, if you want strong females, she definitely does kick some butt in the movie. Also, as a new face to the cast is Alan Ritchson. So you might be familiar with him as he plays Jack Reacher in the Reacher show on Amazon. He also played Hawk in the Teen Titans show. So it is nice to see him getting more prominence. He definitely has the stature of an action star. He looks looks pretty built. He was really good in this movie. He definitely holds his own as like this new director of the agency that Dom and his family have been like working for in the past films, and they're working for the government. So he's the new head, and he doesn't really like Toretto's family, and he definitely doesn't like barbecues.
The watch was a gift, but I got 16 carats of uncut diamonds in my jockstrap if you want to take a look.
So I really thought the cast was pretty good, except for Jason Momoa's Dante.
Sorry we didn't get to meet in Roma. We were both so busy. I'm Dante. I'm Shantae.
And that really hurts me to say because, of course, like everyone else, I love Jason Momoa as Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. And he was also really awesome in Frontier, which is a show probably not a lot of people have seen. It's like about the Canadian fur trade. But he was really awesome in that show. And so I know that Momoa has a range. It might not be like the widest range, but he definitely has a range as an actor. And so I was really disappointed with the decision they had with the portrayal of this character.
That was awesome!
I don't know if they're trying to make it like in 007 Skyfall, the character played by Javier Bardem, Silva. Like, he's also very off-putting and very hard to follow and kind of gets under your skin. And that's what this character was.
I know what you're thinking, and yes, carpet matches the drapes. Thank you.
Spoilers for the movie, but it ends on a cliffhanger. And so, like I said, they want to make part 10 into multiple stages. So Fast 10 part 2, I'm really hoping that the villain isn't going to be Dante again, because I don't know if I could sit through another movie of him being so eccentric and over the top. That was just too much for me. That's my rant about him. So things that really work for the movie, like the direction is solid. They really do use their principal locations very well. A lot of filming in Rome, Rio de Janeiro, and London, like very nice shots here. It is a bit more grounded in reality. Of course, there's fast cars. It looks fantastic. You get a street race. It's great. Some good fight scenes, but overall it is a very entertaining 141-minute movie. Like, you don't necessarily feel like it's too long. Is it realistic? No, but like I said, you're not going to the movies for the realism, you're going for the action. It definitely has that. Things that don't really work for the movie, aside from Jason Momoa's performance, for a movie with such a big budget, $340 million, I was a little disappointed with the special effects. At times it felt half-baked. It kind of reminded me of like a lower budget like Bollywood movie like Batan, like where you can clearly see the transition between the green screen, and it just doesn't look realistic at all in certain scenes. So that was really unfortunate because it is such a grand movie to have that be the flaw. It's a shame. Another thing is that I would say that in some scenes it feels like the fight scenes are forced. The girls are constantly kicking ass in this movie. And not that I have a problem with that, but it just felt like they were forcing themselves in that situation. An example of that would be, there's a scene where Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, she has her guards turn on her and she has to fight all of them, and it just felt like I was watching Atomic Blonde. It didn't feel like it fit that movie. Or there's a scene where Letty and Cypher are fighting as they're in a compound that they're trying to get out of, and it's not realistic because I feel like even if it's your enemy and you're both trying to get out of your captive state, you would fight each other after you got out, not as you're trying to escape this place. Or when Brie Larson's character Tess is at a bar, she just starts to fight with everybody. Also, in terms of shoehorning, there's a scene with Pete Davidson who's like friends with Ramsey, and there's like this whole hallucination scene with Han. Like, I just felt that was really strange and it didn't fit in the movie. They didn't really expand on Han hallucinating, so a missed opportunity there. And I really wish Jason Statham was in the movie a bit longer. It was just felt like a cameo from his character. So I don't know if they're going to make like a Hobbs and Shaw part 2, or they're going to explore what he ended up doing during the time of the movie, because I would like to see more of Jason Statham. I mean, he's an awesome action star, and I think he really does deserve a bigger spot in the franchise. Overall, my rating for the film is 6 out of 10. Like I said, it is entertaining for the 141 minutes. Would I recommend it for everybody? No. I think you have to love these movies to really want to sit down and spend the time and kind of give it the grace it needs if you're going to make exceptions for some of the shortcomings of the movie. If you're a fan of the franchise, you should definitely watch it, especially to see what they end up doing with the second installment of Fast 10. I know they're toying with the idea of making it 3 parts for Fast 10, but it feels like the franchise is really winding down and we're going to get a solid end to the movies, so I'm looking forward to that. If you've seen Fast 10, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed the content so far but haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. It's definitely going to help me in growing the channel, or at least give the video a like so someone else can find interest in it as well. But that's all I have for you today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.
If it could be done in a car, they did it. If it violates the laws of God and gravity, they did it twice.